Well, hello everybody, and thank you once again for tuning in to this week's video. I really appreciate it. Some of you may or may not know that I used to shoot film. I shot film for quite a few years before I got into digital, and one of the formats that I use quite regularly, especially for my landscape nature photography work, was the 4x5 film camera. Now, I just recently got rid of my 4x5 camera, but I was going through some of my older prints and I came across this print here. This is actually a Polaroid Emulsion transfer print. Now, for a very short period of time there, I was shooting Polaroid film, and I thought that at the time it would help me with my compositions and how light was reacting on the land, and it kind of did, but in the end it just seemed like a big waste of money for me. I actually had a Polaroid back that fit into the 4x5 camera, and Polaroid film at that time was used quite a bit for studio work, especially if you were photographing product and you wanted to see lighting ratios and how the light was reacting with your product. Then a Polaroid was a great way to kind of see what was happening before you actually went out and shot film. The emulsion lifts there was more of an experiment, and that was the only one I really did, and I swore that one day I would really like to try it again. And then of course Polaroid kind of went under for a while there, and then it came back again, and now it seems to be back again. It's been back for a while now, and Polaroid are producing Polaroid film. So I came up with either buying a Polaroid film camera or perhaps finding something else. And I found this device here. This has been out for a while now, and I looked on YouTube, and of course there's lots of reviews about it. This is called the Polaroid Lab. So I thought, well, why not? I'll try it out. Now, I'm not being sponsored by Polaroid. I just went and bought this myself from Amazon. But basically what it is, it takes photographs of existing photographs that you already have. So this little section on the top here pops up, and then you take this cover off, you put your cell phone on the top here, and this little lens here will take a photograph of whatever is on your screen. So you just download the app, put the photograph in the app, and then take a photograph of it. And the Polaroid film fits in the base of this device here. And then once you're all ready to go, you just push the button here and you get a Polaroid print. The really neat thing about this device though is that you can take multiple images of one image. So you can do multiple emulsion lifts at the same time. So I thought I might try that. Kind of like the image I just showed you. The way that I took this was that I actually made a large print, and then I took photographs of the print with my 4x5 film camera. So I would take this quadrant here, this corner here, this corner here, this corner here, and then I did 4 emulsion lifts, and then carefully place them onto, this is a watercolor paper. And it's kind of a neat effect. I really like it actually. So unfortunately this size film you can't get anymore, but the film that I do have, I think it should work okay. The images will just be a little bit smaller. All right, there are a few things that you will need before you start these emulsion lifts. The first thing is a pan big enough to not only hold the Polaroid print, but also the paper that you're going to use. As far as paper goes, I've been using the matte paper from PhotoSpeed. Any kind of matte paper will work well. It doesn't have to be photo paper, just something that when you put it in the water, it doesn't fall apart. Also, a very soft brush with a soft end on it. The reason why you want it soft is so it doesn't rip through the emulsion when it comes off the backing. And lastly, either a knife or a pair of scissors to cut the print so that the emulsion is able to lift off it. All right, now I happen to be using the Polaroid Lab because it has a bit more flexibility in what I want to use it for. I can put any photograph through this that I want. Obviously with a camera, then you have to go out and take the photographs. But for some people that might be the fun part of it. For me, it's actually the printing part. So that's why I got the Polaroid Lab. Before you start using this product, you will have to download the Polaroid app, and when you go into the app, you'll see that it says cameras. You just click on that, and then at the top it will say Polaroid Lab, and you'll see a frame there, a Polaroid frame, like on a print, and in the middle it says choose photo. So you just click on that and that'll take you to your library. Now, I previously went out and took a quick photograph of a hydrangea that's in our garden. So I'll just click on that. And once you've done that, you just go next and you'll see it in the frame. And at the top, you can do all kinds of things. You can just print a single photograph of that image, or there's a whole variety of different ways that you can print it. You can go double, triple, 4 images or 4 Polaroids, 6, all the way up to 9. Now just remember that each pack of film has 8 sheets of film in it, or prints, and also they are quite expensive. In Canada, I think it ends up being about $2 or $2.50 per print. So if you're doing 9, that gets quite expensive. Okay, so once you have your photograph loaded in your app, then just push the arrow at the bottom. Now there are some settings on here. You might want to just leave them to start with and then do a test print, see how that turns out. The settings are very basic. Basically, all you can alter is just the brightness and also the colors. You can either saturate them a bit more or desaturate them. So I would start off just at the default and then work your way from there. Once you're all ready to go, just push the button on the side here. Some lights will come up, take the cover off, and there'll be 2 little dots below the photograph on your phone. And basically you just put that onto the lab there. It'll ding when it's ready, and then you just push the red button at the bottom here. And there you go, there you have your print. Just push the dark slide back, and then just put this in a dark place for 15 minutes, and you'll have a print of a print. All right, the Polaroid is all ready to go, and as you can see, it's quite different than the original, which I took with my phone, by the way. But it still has some really great qualities to it, and that's the nice thing about Polaroid. It has a specific look to it and feel that I know a lot of artists really like. So the first thing to do is take off this white border. So I'm just going to trim this all the way around. It's probably easier with scissors so that you can do a straighter cut. Unless you're using a knife with a ruler, then that might work as well. But I think this will work pretty good. And the reason why we do this is that there's some plastic coatings on here that we need to get rid of so that the emulsion is able to peel off. All right, so we have our image. Now there is a plastic coating on top that we need to get rid of. So now you have to be really careful with this section, because you can, if you're not careful, you can damage the emulsion. And we want to try and minimize the damage as much as possible. Now sometimes the emulsion will come off on the actual plastic layer on top or the plastic layer below. Ideally, for me anyway, I like it if it's on the plastic sheet below. So just be really careful as you peel this away. Now the other thing that I found is that the Polaroids the lifts seem to work better an hour or 2 after you've developed the print. If you leave it too long, it gets harder and harder to get the emulsion off. So as you can see, this plastic is slowly lifting off. So there's the emulsion there, and then it has a plastic backing, and that's what we need to get rid of. Now, in terms of the water, it doesn't really matter too much, but I have found that the hotter the water, the easier it seems to come off. So you just put the whole print in there. And sometimes it comes off really easily, and other times it seems to take much longer. So I'm not really sure why. Like as I look at this now, you can immediately see it starting to bubble a little bit. So that's a good sign. Now, this is where the crucial part comes in. You want to get your soft brush. And you have to have a bit of patience with this because it is a bit tricky. Ideally, if you don't touch it, then it seems to work better. But as I sweep water around the outside of the print, the emulsion will slowly peel off. All right, it's almost there. This is the exciting part. Come on, get that last little bit. There we go. All right. So we'll just get rid of this plastic bit here. You'll notice that there's also a white layer on this. Sometimes that flakes off as well. No need to worry about it. But the thing is, you have to be careful that it doesn't get stuck in the emulsion because then it's hard to get off it. Sometimes, I know some people will use 2 pans of water. One to get the emulsion off and then another one to actually put the emulsion onto the paper. All right, now comes the tricky part. So I've cut this sheet of paper in half. This is photo speed paper. Like I said, it doesn't matter what type of paper it is, but you do want a matte paper and something that's able to absorb water without falling apart. Okay, the next tricky part is trying to get it so that you have the right side up. And there is a couple of ways you can do this. You can touch the emulsion, but just be very gentle with it. And now some people would like to smooth that out as much as possible. I kind of like it to have lots of wrinkles because that's kind of gives it the artistic effect that I'm looking for. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. The hardest part for me seems to be trying to get it so that it's square on the piece of paper. Now it doesn't matter too much because obviously you can always crop the paper afterwards, just trim it. But if I can try and get it so that it's perpendicular or it's level with the edges, then that helps. Okay, I'm just going to grab that, put my thumb on that corner there, and I'm just going to grab that and lift this out like so. And you can see we have the start of our emulsion lift. You can play around with it out of the water. So let's just get this flat. Like so. I'm going to try and drag it up a bit. So what I can do is just put this in the water and just slowly drag it over. I'm just trying to get it into the center of the sheet a bit more. There we go. That's not bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to look at this and kind of figure out, okay, well, I really like the center, the part with the flower, but maybe it would be kind of fun just to give it some wrinkles around the edges here. So you can kind of pucker it up with your brush here, just around the edges. Kind of like that. I mean, you know, the sky's the limit. You can do anything you want. It's your piece. You can play around with it. I think I kind of like this because it kind of frames the hydrangea flower. There we go, like that. And I think I made that look quite simple, but I've had other ones where it's just taken me ages to get that emulsion on the paper. That's been quite frustrating, but this one went relatively simply. Now, of course, as soon as you start doing emulsion lifts with 3, 4, or up to 9 images and trying to match them, then it can get really tricky. But I think I'm going to try some. I have some black and white film here. Now, the type of film that I've been using with the Photo Lab, or the Polaroid Lab, I've been using the color I-type film. And I just got a couple of packs of black and white. I'm pretty excited about the black and white. I think I'll have better luck with it in terms of exposure. Obviously, I don't have to deal with color. The colors aren't going to go weird with this. So I'm going to try some of this. I'd like to do some emulsion lifts with 4, possibly 6, and put them all on one sheet of paper like I did with the cobweb there. So I'm quite excited about that. So that's pretty much it. You should give it a go. It's a lot of fun. It's something a little bit different, and I'm all about trying some different techniques to try and to get the creative juices flowing. Last week we did close-ups. My friend Brian and I were actually going to when this video is out, we're going to be on Gabriola Island again. We're going to try some other areas to see if we can get some close-ups, and maybe I'll do some Polaroid emulsions or lifts with some of those photographs as well. We'll have to see. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Be sure to give me the old thumbs up if you did enjoy the video. And if you have any tips or tricks about emulsion lifts that you've discovered over the years, be sure to leave those tips in the comments down below. I'm sure the rest of my viewers would really appreciate it. And lastly, my book, Land and Light, it is coming. I promise you it is coming. If you'd like to stay up to date on its progress, be sure to sign up for my newsletter, which I put out about once a month. All right, thanks ever so much for watching. Till next time, bye-bye.